It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha! Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brouhaha. Dale McKee is over here looking at me. See how I'm twisting that up? I'm throwing you a curveball. Dale McKee?
No, listen, don't throw me any curveballs.
Oh, okay.
I mean, my philosophy of baseball, okay, if you don't want the pitcher to throw you a curveball, it's hit the fastball.
Okay.
So don't throw me a curveball.
Okay.
Just throw me a fastball.
I'm just going to throw you. I'm just going to lob one over here to
there
you.
You go.
All right, we'll do it that way. Oh, boy, that's got all kinds of stuff going on around here. I was looking at your sideline view, Dale, as I always do. It looks like a great way to get things started. I see you were talking about what's going on over there at the SEC Media Days and how they had them up there in Nashville. I think we talked about that a little bit last week. Anything big coming out of there you want to throw at us, or you want me to just to keep going?
No, we'll just talk about what you want to talk about.
All right. I'm talking about your writing, your story you wrote.
Well, I mean, that's your opinion.
That you wrote it?
Yeah.
You not plagiarizing? Come on, man. 40 years?
Didn't you tell me to write all that?
40 years down the track. No, you do a good
Okay,
job.
Repeat the question that you told me.
I couldn't do it. I can't remember the question.
Well, okay. Well, let's go on to the next
We
question.
can play it. That next question is.
Okay.
All right. What's the big news at this year's SEC Media Day?
Well, last year, I mean, the biggest news, I don't know if you remember this.
Probably not.
Because it just stuck out to me, because it was in Atlanta. And I can understand it being in Atlanta. Bush's Beans was the sponsor. Remember that? Bush's Beans. That was the biggest news. Okay.
Really?
Yep. This year, Nick Saban usually has an agenda when he goes to this thing. He wants to talk about some pet peeve he has. This year he couldn't because everybody wanted to know about Georgia. Georgia was on everybody's mind.
Well, Georgia's on the minds of people that's got to play them. That's for doggone sure. It looks like they're being predicted to win it all again. Well, the East anyway, and the overall championship. But, did I read where Mississippi State got a vote to win the West?
And the overall.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what,
and they're still in the cellar there.
It's looking good.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Any other big news, surprises coming out of there for you over there at the SEC Media Days?
Not really. It was kind of low. I mean, every coach just about said something about Mike Leach and in memory of him and things of that nature. So I thought that was pretty nice to bring his name up because he had a lot of influence on the game of football itself.
I kind of want to flip bases on you here a minute. And,
okay.
You talking about football called Media Days. It's about here on us in this heat thing. It's really crazy. Now, I've got some information here today. I'm not trying to run a fast one on you because you probably already know all there is to know about wet bulb globe temperature.
I have no idea about it, but I do know that the Mississippi High School has endorsed it and asked all our coaches to go by it. And so, of course, the thing about it is a lot of times, you have these children at 1:30 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon to practice football. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Do you bring them back in the evenings, or do you bring them in there at 5 o'clock in the morning and practice?
Well, it's a big problem.
It is.
And if you talk about the wet bulb globe temperature, it will get hotter under that than anything else. It's a heat index. I've been reading about this. It said when you took the heat index, which is you see that on the news a lot, they take that reading in the shade. They don't take the readings in the shade with the wet bulb globe model. And it takes into conditions like the position of where the sun is and the breezes, and it takes everything into condition. But now listen to this. According to the Mississippi High School Activities Association, if you get to 92 degrees, you can't practice outside at 92. And this is a 92 that's going to be easier to get than a regular thermometer or even on the heat index. It's going to be a low number. That's going to be hard to do. Then you said practicing in the evenings. Well, that's all well and good, but what time? 7 o'clock? 8 o'clock?
I mean, I don't know.
For a school like Wayne County that's got 20 miles one way, sometimes they have to go pick a kid up and take them home. I mean, that's a killer.
Yes.
But I know you got to take care of the children. I'm not about that. I'm all about taking care of the kids. I get that. But I do know if you can't practice football when it gets to about 90 degrees, because that's probably going to be about a 2-degree difference, and that's just Marshall Wood. That's no scientific method at all. But you get up to 90 degrees and you can't play the 90 degrees that we're accustomed to, and you can't practice football. That's a problem.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, and I'm not down in Mississippi high school, but they also said that they wouldn't. It was waived for ball games, and we would still start at 7 o'clock at night. I'm thinking, why can't you have the option of starting at 8 o'clock at night, or why don't they come out and like they have in the past and say, hey, we're gonna delay the season a week, Is that Jay Moore?
I bet it is.
I bet it is.
But anyway, it's gonna be interesting to see how that transpires. There's not gonna be a lot of practice going on, I don't imagine.
May not be very much.
Just play, baby.
Well, I mean, some teams that practice on turf, you're talking about that heat index. So isn't that turf a little bit hotter too?
Yes, sir. And I don't know how the wet bug gets into that or not, but we can certainly look at that a little bit later on. But I tell you what we got for a guest tonight? You got somebody lined up?
Yes, we have Lindsay Hall. He's a longtime sports announcer for WTOK television in Meridian, Mississippi. And we go back about 40 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And, I'm only 41, so we go back a long way. And so we're gonna interview him now. He's kind of out of the sports department full time, but boy, he still loves the game. He's a fan, and he keeps up with it. And he and I used to meet up at the SEC Media Days in Birmingham and in Hoover area. And I'm going to tell you what, he's a great guy.
Yeah. Well, we're going to hear him firsthand here in just a minute.
Okay, well, he's going to bring us up to snuff on what really happened at SEC Media.
That's what I'm talking about. With that, well, let's don't waste any time. Let's get on to that. But first, let's hear from one of our sponsors, and then Dale and I'll be back with tonight's guest, Lindsay Hall, right after the break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Lindsay Hall. How you doing? How's everything in the Queen City of Meridian today?
Hey guys, we're doing great. Busy as always, but that's how we like it. But doing great. Thank you for having me on again.
Right. Well, fill our fans in on what you're doing now. We introduced you as a longtime sportscaster for TOK, and just kind of tell us how your career has evolved.
Well, and still to this day, I mean, I've been out of sports, believe it or not, for TV sports for about 6 years, almost 7. But it's unbelievable. But still, anywhere I go, it's still, hey, there's a sports guy. Aren't you the sports guy? Whatever. So, but I did it, did sports here for 30 years, but still get to be involved a little bit with a little sports talk radio here. So I at least get to keep my ear to the ground a little bit with that, but I just made the switch over to the news side of it. And Dale, a lot of old sports guys, particularly in TV, have to do that because you get to a certain point in your career where lugging that camera and recorder and all that up down sidelines and 100-degree heat kind of gets old, and it's almost built for the young guys. So I switched over to the news side, but enjoying that a lot. I enjoy the news side, getting to cover stories and see folks that, I I've kind of known for a long time, but just on the outside basis. But now that I'm on this side of it, getting to know, different folks.
That's true. Well, listen, I know people in the, especially in the northern half of Wayne County, get the TOK television, but you and I used to. It seemed like every year we would have a little get together over there at Hoover or Birmingham, and this year,
sir.
okay,
yes, sir.
And then all of a sudden they pull the rug out of us. We can drive 2 or 3 hours to Birmingham, but now we're going to have to drive 7 so hours to Nashville or Atlanta, and next year I heard it's going to be in Dallas. So tell us about, did you hate it leaving the Hoover area? If you were...
Yeah, and you're right. That was the highlight for me. Maybe the highlight of the year was getting to go to Hoover for those 3 days. And Radio Row was packed in the TV. It was just... And it was so fun. It was fun. And one of my favorite things, me and my buddies got to play in the golf tournament every year. They took that away when they expanded to 14 teams. And it became a lot of work and less fun. And because it was really, we always worked a lot, but it was a lot of fun because you would see all your buddies. And like you said, maybe once a year you see your guys and you get to hang out with them. And it kind of just, it's just different. And I haven't, after making probably 30 straight years or so, I don't believe I've been to an SEC Media Day now in 6, 7, maybe 8 years. Unreal.
Yeah, I went over there maybe 4 or 5 years ago was my last year. I went over there. They had a kind of thing with Herschel Walker and Steve Spurrier and Archie Manning. And I can't remember how many years ago that was. But that was my last one, and that was in Hoover, and then of course we had the pandemic, and then they moved it to Atlanta, and of course Nashville's not a bad place. I went there this spring, and I hadn't been to Nashville in 20 years, and I'm gonna tell you what, that town has changed. It almost kind of looks like a little New Orleans down there on Broadway Street there, but anyway. But what was your take on the SEC medias of what you got this year out about what was going on as far as interest from State, Ole Miss, Alabama, and maybe Auburn?
Well, it was one of those. If I remember right, usually there would be something. Media days are media days. It is what it is. But normally something would happen unexpected, but I don't think anything happened this year unexpected. Normally you'll have something that kind of hits or some coach says something and then creates a buzz, but I think everything was kind of status quo. The story for everybody, it seems like, other than Mississippi State, is who's going to be the quarterback? To me, that was the overriding theme because you had so many teams last year. I'm not looking at it now, but maybe only 3-4 starters returning out of however many teams, 14 this year, I think, 3-4. So that's the prevailing theme. Who's which team who's going to be their quarterback?
Well, used to when I was picking the teams over there for the poll, that's the first thing I looked at, who had their quarterback coming back. And this year, you look at the West, Ole Miss has his, State has theirs, and LSU has theirs, and Arkansas has theirs. So
Arkansas with T.J. Jefferson, he's a real deal.
Yeah, and so those four. And then, A&M, I'm not sure who their quarterback is, and I don't think Alabama knows, and Auburn may not know either, And so,
they don't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, no, they don't, and I don't know if there's anybody in the East, really. Tennessee, obviously, we saw that kid starting a bowl game, and he's going to be the real deal. Stetson Bennett's gone, so we'll just see. But I like where Mississippi State is. I know we'll be talking State and Ole Miss, maybe a little Bama, but I just kind of, it's a shame with Coach Leach. This was going to be his third year, and if you kind of look back at his career, that year 3 or year 4 was always really good. I think at Texas Tech, year 3 or 4 is when he won 10 or so, went to Cotton Bowl, then year 3 or 4, Washington State went to the Rose Bowl, and I think it was kind of set up for him this year. And I'm not saying that it won't be that, but I kind of like where State is. I mean, what was the stats on the quarterback? I mean, my goodness, is there a team in the country that is returning a quarterback that's thrown like Will Rogers for 30-something touchdowns and over 3,000 yards or something? That's huge, Dale.
Yeah, he had a down year last year. He had a better year the year before. That was so amazing about him. Well, you know the thing about Leach, and you might expand on what I'm about to say, but Leach had to bring in certain players. Like when Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss, I remember they had to bring in certain type of offensive linemen to run their offense, and I'm sure Leach had to bring in kids just to suit his offense. So now that they've changed to Zach Arnett, there's going to be some changes, but you don't think it'll bother them this year, right? That's $1 million question. I was at lunch today. It was one of our young sportscasters, Sydney Wicker, is moving on to Tallahassee, Florida. She was in town with her dad. Huge Michigan fan. They both are. And he was asking. He said, "Do you think Mississippi State's going to change their offense much?" And I said, that's a great question because we didn't see much of it in the bowl game. That's for sure. That was a real sloppy bowl game for State. So, but they've got the personnel for it. So I don't think there can be a total, complete change. But I'm not sure it matters with Will Rogers. I mean, that kid has proven he's a quarterback, and whatever system. Are we going to see 80 passes a game? No, I don't think so. But I don't think they're going to all of a sudden change everything they do because of the personnel still. Well, they are going to have a tight end this year, which is something they haven't had in about 2 or 3 years. So that will definitely be the change. But now, they're getting this reputation of having some great defensive linemen, and their defense, especially with Arnett still having his input and having his guy that's been there with him for 3 years running the defense. So State, do you think they should have been picked last in the SEC West?
No. And you said when you made your media picks, you look at the quarterback. And I think that is a primary factor. I like looking at that. The first thing I do, guys, when I look at the schedule. Who's playing who? And, last year Mississippi State had to go to Georgia, or they hosted Georgia. But so that was just going to be pretty much an automatic L unless something happened. Well, look at their schedule. Nothing's easy in SEC, but, most of their big ones, LSU and Alabama's at home. Ole Miss, that's arguably their 3 biggest rivals, but I mean, their away games are winnable. I mean, if they're at LSU, I'm saying automatic loss. At Alabama, automatic. But Starkville's a pretty tough place. But the road games at South Carolina, South Carolina finished on a real high last year, but that's winnable. I mean, you're not going to say at Arkansas, certainly a good team, but winnable. At Auburn, winnable. At A&M. So I look at their 4 road games. I say those, you're not going to LSU. You're not going to Alabama. There's no Georgia. There's no Tennessee on that schedule. So I think it sets up for State when you got a quarterback like that and a defense and I don't know if you can call any schedule, guys, favorable in the SEC. But, y'all know what I'm talking about. You don't see Georgia or Tennessee out of the East, and you've got your LSU and Bama coming to Starkville, and you got winnable home games. So, no, I think this is last place, no way. This is kind of my dark horse team in the league. They're not going to win it, but I think they're going to beat a couple of teams that are going to surprise some people. I really do. Well,
do you think they're rating them low because State has a first-year coach, and even though Auburn has a first-year coach, their coach has been coached in the SEC. Do you think that's a different in the picking there?
No, we've been going to the SEC meet forever, and I know Sylvester Croom said it, and Jackie Schiff. State's just almost always going to be voted last, and I think even the year they ascended to number one in the country, I still think they were picked. We'd have to go back and look, but they were more than likely picked toward the bottom. So, I mean, obviously they're going to go with Alabama, LSU, but I think State is going to be okay now. We'll see. Now I may be talking to you in November. If they're 4-8, then y'all erase this conversation. But I think they're pretty good. I'm not picking them to win the SEC by any means, but I certainly don't think they're going to finish dead last in the West.
Well, somebody picked them to win the SEC. Somebody picked them to finish first in the West. Did you see that?
Wow. I saw somebody pick Vanderbilt to win the SEC too.
Yeah. Everybody got a first place vote but Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And you talk about the Mississippi State schedule hosting LSU and they're hosting Alabama. Well, if you're an Ole Miss fan, you look at it from a perspective like this. All right, we got to go to Alabama and we got to go to Georgia. And they go to Mississippi State, and I can't remember where else that they go to.
Let's see, Auburn and State. So I mean, at Bama, that just automatically eliminates.
Yeah. So even
Ole Miss from winning the league. I mean, you're not going to win the division. I don't care who you are with trips to Alabama and Georgia. I mean, that's
and you got State.
That is not the cards.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, to me, even if they hosted Alabama and Georgia in Oxford, they probably would get L's too, because they have in the past. So what I'm saying,
I would think so.
Hey, why not play them on the road? And like you said, okay, Ole Miss has got like Arkansas, LSU, Vanderbilt, and
Texas
A&M at home, and those are all winnable games. So you take those four, and hopefully you get past your four non-conference. At least you've won 8 ball games. Even if you lose,
I think you're right.
You lose your road games, so the schedule can play heck on you, And you usually it really is determined in November anyway what you're going to do, and so
I think the number is 8. Maybe if you look at both those teams, because Ole Miss certainly is good enough that they're going to win. Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be favored in all of those home games. Maybe less LSU. But one tricky road game may be at Tulane. I don't know. I don't know if Tulane can reproduce what they did last year or not. But you think in Georgia Tech, but I still think Ole Miss is 4-0, and then somewhere or another, if they pull 4 wins, and Mississippi State, if you look at their non-conference, that is 4-0. The only challenge I think they get, I mean, Arizona comes in, and is it this year or next year? Southern Miss, but
it's this year.
It's still a win for Southern State. I mean, State's going 4-0 out of the division, and I think 8 wins, very, very could be in the cards. Also, if both could just go 4-4 in the league.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you something. They have made heck over this Alabama quarterback situation for 1 year. Does Alabama really need a 5-star quarterback?
Well, that's a great question, and if the answer is have they needed them to win 6 or 7 national championships, the answer is no. Now, because if you list some of them, Greg McElroy coming to mind is not exactly didn't have a pro career.
Several of them did. Yeah.
Who was the guy from Mobile? I can't think of his name. He was from Mobile. He never. I think he's selling insurance now. He was.
This guy with a good-looking girlfriend.
The guy with a good-looking girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, you get my drift. Which now?
Brent Musgrove. Call him. Call Brent Musgrove. Aren't you a CBS station? Yeah. Call Brent. He'll know. He'll know who the quarterback was.
I mean, I can't even think of his name, but he was a no-name. Jake Coker. That's Jake Coker. Transfer from Miami. Nobody knew him.
Yeah.
Won a national. Now on the flip side of that, I think those years Alabama had unbelievably dominant defenses, and so the answer was no, they didn't have one. Last couple of years, have we seen that unbelievable dominant? No, we've seen Tennessee and LSU and other teams, Ole Miss, hang 40-plus points on Alabama. So, So Alabama's got to go back to playing some Alabama-style defense if they're to win big with a non-5-star quarterback. I think that's their plan this year.
Yeah, no, I do know Alabama's got all their defensive linemen made one of the SEC, all SEC, either first, second, or third team. The boy for Columbia, the big, I saw him play in the Alabama-Mississippi game. Otis from Columbia, he weighed about 400 pounds today. I saw him.
Yeah.
And now he's down to about 315. So he's lost to probably a good 5th or 6th grader in body.
That's unreal.
So he's going to be a player. So I've got a lot of confidence in their defense. They've got a old coach coming back with gray hair, and Pete Golden I didn't think was that bad a coach. I just think that these offenses now are just so. You just have to cover from sideline to sideline, and sometimes you have to cover outside, out of bounds. It's just such a fast game now. And everything.
Yeah, so, all the rule changes obviously over the last years have favored offense. I mean, they have, and even Saban had to change. When he hired Lane Kiffin, 10 years ago or so, he changed. He quit that 4 yards in a cloud of dust. We're going to see Bama though going back with Tommy Reed's new offensive coordinator, running two backs a lot, tight ends a lot, and I think they go back to ball control. Running the ball a lot, play action, trying to play defense. And I don't think you're going to, maybe wrong, I don't think you're going to see these 48-45 type games from Alabama anymore. I think he wants to get back. We're done with the days of 6-3 games, but I think you're going to go back. Alabama, Saban wants to play Alabama football where they're driving the ball, 72 yards, 12 plays, and then wearing down the defense and the opposing defense and trying to win that way. Maybe winning ugly, 24-10, something like that. But Bama's still going to be pretty good this year. Picked to win the West, I think. Georgia's they're going to be awful good.
Okay,
guys, I hate to tell you, I'm the guy that Lindsay may realize. I'm the timekeeper, and I hate to say it, but we're out of time. But they say it flies when you're having fun. We always have fun when you're here.
Well, I work in a business, as you know, we're always bound by time, and man, I've enjoyed it, guys. I really do. Dale, we enjoy your column every week, really do. Keeps me kind of linked into the sports world when I'm not all the time. And thank y'all so much for having me.
All right, we appreciate you. We're going to take a break right now to hear from one of our sponsors, and Dale and I will be back with tonight's final segment after this commercial.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. What a treat it was having Lindsay with us again, and he loves sports, doesn't he?
He does.
You said he did.
He says he doesn't keep up with, but it sounded like he did.
Yeah, we had to slow him down. We're running out of time.
There you go.
Well, we did enjoy that. We're all close to time, but I just came across an article, Dale, I want to share with you and our readers, and you probably read it. You might have written it, who knows? But anyway, I saw a list of 15 college football coaches that are reportedly untouchable.
What's that mean?
That means that it don't matter what happens, they ain't going nowhere.
Is Hugh Freeze on that list?
Hugh Freeze is on the list. Hugh Freeze, wait a minute.
Okay.
I don't see him on there. He may be way down. I got the top 50. No, he ain't on the list.
What about Lane Kiffin? Zach Arnett?
Let me tell you who is on it.
Okay.
Who do you think would be number one? I know you're going to get it.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. Nick Saban, Alabama. Untouchable. Number two, Dabo Swinney, untouchable. Number 3, this is according to CBS Sports, by the way. Deion Sanders, untouchable.
I don't know about that.
I don't either, but
We got to have some proofs in the pudding. Tell Deion he needs to, tell us what he can do.
no, he can tell us.
Well, I mean,
he show.
I've heard that they've that ticket sales are record breaking up there and stuff like that. And they're going to be on prime time about 2 or 3 times, and they haven't ever done that.
If he wins 6 ball games, they're going to give him the key to the city.
Well, they were picked 11th in the
Yeah.
Pac-10 out of 12.
Yeah,
So
Pac-12, man. Number 4, Kirby Smart, Georgia, untouchable. You did ask me about Hugh Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his replacement at Liberty, Jamie Caldwell, number 6, untouchable.
really,
Yes, sir, untouchable. Brian Kelly's untouchable at LSU. Harbaugh at Michigan. But that's about the top 10. But I'm going to run that by you.
Harbaugh's untouchable. What about the guy at Ohio State?
He's touchable.
Really?
Yeah, Ryan Day.
How about USC?
He's not on this list. But let's run right through it right quick. Braum at Louisville, Kelly at LSU, Harbaugh, Sealer at Sam Houston, Sonny Dykes at TCU, Lincoln Riley. There's a USC guy. He's on there, number 12. Jeff Traylor at UTSA is 13. Kyle Whittingham in Utah. Well, Utah's made some noise. 14, and then Kalen DeBoer Washington. He's number 15. But that's a good set of the untouchables according to CBS Sports. But I tell you one thing that that's going to touch is time. And like we told a little earlier, we're out of time for that segment, and we're out of time for this segment as well. Dale and I want to thank you for being with us tonight and remind you that you can follow us during the week on our Facebook page at the Brouhaha, and you can see all of I do it every week. You can listen to all of the shows that we've had that are on our YouTube channel at the Brouhaha. But all that having been said and done, we're out of time, and it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
And we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.